But don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
Hey, I be with some bodyguards like Whitney.
You ain't gotta get personal, this a friendly fade, you should keep it that way.
Within the broader context of historical and social manipulation, seemingly simple insults exchanged between two musical artists carry great significance and negatively affect the public's perception. Some may say that this year's solar eclipse was part of a ritual, as the signal for everyone in the entertainment industry to become enemies instead of friendly competitors, as many entertainers are currently dissing each other, like Drake and Future, who were longtime business partners. There was also a sudden verbal exchange between JT and Karshia of the City Girls rap group. Just recently, two famous African musicians, Wizkid and Davido, have joined the trend, arguing about who holds the top spot as an artist coming out of Nigeria. Glorilla, Ice Spice, Lotto, and many others have joined this trend of dissing one another. And then it's now Drake and Kendrick Lamar, two of the most prominent figures in the rap industry. So what's going on? Is this just some simple promotion or random publicity stunt to keep themselves relevant as artists? Or is it because some artists are tired of the industry and have begun exposing it for what it is, and some artists are being used by higher powers against these rebellious artists to shut them up? There is a deeper underlying reason behind these conflicts. In this video, I delve into the ongoing feud between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, examining the symbolism and spiritual representation of their quarrel and the possible motives behind it that are a part of a much bigger agenda historically that affects the public today.
Produced by Dane Calloway and Tanisha Calloway. Watch this brand new documentary, Mother Rosa, right now at DaneMakeYouThink.com.
Drake and Kendrick Lamar are currently two of the most prominent figures in the rap industry. Despite having taken subtle jabs at each other since 2013, their lyrics this year seem to be more personal and directed toward one another. Could the rap industry's public controversy be a part of a ritual related to the eclipse? Soon after the solar eclipse, the feud initially involved Drake, Future, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, J. Cole, and Metro Boomin, but ultimately narrowed down to a beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. The symbolism of this particular quarrel filtering down from a group of individuals to now exist between only two people has a greater spiritual representation. For example, Future is usually seen and heard publicly referring to himself as Pluto, which is a planet, but it is also a reference to the word despoter, which is the Greek god Pluto. Despoter is a deity that was once worshipped in Rome, as it means rich father. Kendrick Lamar was recently featured on Future and Metro Boomin's song Like That, and he responded to J. Cole stating this on his track with Drake.
Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started a league.
So during his verse on Like That, Kendrick established that he did not want to be a part of an alliance with other big name artists, specifically J. Cole and Drake.
The big three, it's just big me. Boom!
Drake was not pleased with Kendrick's comments and released a new track titled Push-Ups, in which he disses and challenges Kendrick to respond. Eventually, he did respond, and he didn't hold back his dislike for particular artists like Drake, who pretend to belong to a culture and heritage they shouldn't. This point was echoed in his song Euphoria, which was his diss song directed toward Drake. At the beginning of the song, an audio clip was played in reverse.
Woo, shit, my man said me through that.
When you play this reversed audio forwards, you can hear a clip of Richard Pryor as The Wiz in the movie called The Wiz.
Everything they say about me is true.
Everything they say about me is true. I'm a phony.
In this clip, The Wiz is caught and revealed as a phony, which Kendrick uses to initially inform the public that Drake is not who he portrays himself to be. Immediately following this clip, Kendrick mentions the title of his track, Euphoria. Interestingly, this title is also the name of an HBO TV series, where the show depicts the lives of a group of teenage students, but it has received criticism from some critics for its portrayal of teenage sexuality. Critics argue that the producers knew that teens will be watching the show, and therefore it was inappropriate to overly sexualize the characters. According to HBO's website, Drake is one of the show's executive producers, and Kendrick titled his song Euphoria to point this out to the public so that they can see how Drake is being used to carry out an agenda.
Relax and take
According
notes.
to Webster, Drake is a term used to describe a male duck. However, it can also refer to a dragon, a reptile belonging to the order of Squamata, and the same family as lizards and snakes. In many traditions, dragons are often associated with evil, as symbols of betrayal and deceitfulness. Kendrick's name represents the word kin, which means someone who's related, like family, relatives, and tribes of people. Etymologically speaking, it is another way to say the word jinn. So spiritually, this has become a fight between black and white, and good and evil, with one person choosing to be evil, trying to impress your thoughts, and ultimately hoping to separate you from your kin. But some people would not see it like that. Kendrick Lamar echoed this point in his song Euphoria, when he said,
Not a rap artist, you a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but FUBU never had been your collection.
FUBU is an abbreviation for Us by Us, a Niji-owned clothing company. Tommy Hilfiger owns a clothing brand bearing his name. He is historically known as a bigoted racist who publicly opposed so-called people of color wearing any of his clothing, which just so happens to be the same people who made his clothing line popular in rap culture in the first place. Kendrick pointed out that Drake is pretending to be a Niji by putting on a front as if he's actually for us. However, he wouldn't dare support any of our businesses, but wouldn't hesitate to support a business owned by another race. In our new documentary called Mother Rosa, which is available right now to watch via my website, DaneMakeYouThink.com, my wife and I discussed this. It was explained that because of the historical legislation impairing the stance of separate but equal, foreigners from different countries would use this logic of pretending to be you. Under the guise of separate but equal, someone who is, in fact, separate can claim to be equal and then help themselves to access the plethora of financial resources that were originally meant for those who are truly indigenous to these lands, all while pushing their own agenda. Kendrick Lamar knows this, and he pointed this out by saying,
How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?
Then Kendrick points out that Drake's use of a particular word that was originally used by Europeans in a derogatory sense directed towards our indigenous people should be removed from Drake's vocabulary altogether, and that he should not be getting away with using it at all, especially when Drake is mixed with European roots, being as though his mother is European. And while we're at it, J. Cole is mixed and has a European mother as well, and he also freely uses the same derogatory word. Since it would be wrong for each of their mothers to use this word, why should J. Cole and Drake be allowed to use it? And who's to say that their mothers don't use it right now?
You know that we got some to address. I even hate when you say the word n. That's just me, I guess.
You don't wanna hear you say no more.
Throughout history, there has been a concerted effort to sow discord and separation among communities, often with the aim of assimilation into a new order. This has been achieved through various means, including the dissemination of false information, manipulation of political affiliations, and the use of divisive tactics. The term diss often conjures thoughts of musical feuds, particularly within the context of diss tracks. However, when we examine this behavior systematically, we uncover a deeper historical pattern, a pattern of deliberate division and confusion, particularly targeting those with a copper-colored complexion. Upon closer examination, it becomes clear that this process begins with the establishment of a par, a set of things or people deemed to be of equal condition. It is similar to a pair, where two entities hold equal value. However, this equilibrium is disrupted when one side is deliberately elevated or diminished. This manipulation gives rise to the diss, a disparaging remark, act, or insult. The purpose behind such actions is not merely to cause temporary conflict, but rather to instigate long-term confusion and animosity among the masses. Ultimately, this serves to create a rift between groups, paving the way for their assimilation into a predetermined societal structure. In essence, what may initially seem like a simple exchange of insults holds far greater significance within the broader context of historical and social manipulation. For example, in 1924, Walter Plecker, initially a well-known physician in obstetrics, was known for lowering the infant death rate. It was later revealed that this was a detailed plan to gain the trust necessary in his line of work, which allowed him to be placed at the forefront as the first Virginia State Register of Vital Statistics. During his time as a register, not only did he initiate legislation to be put into place which allowed him to reclassify American Indian infants as colored based solely on skin color, but he also classified children whatever race he deemed according to their last name. Walter Plecker also publicly stated within papers and pamphlets tied to the American Public Health Association that any child or adult that wasn't deemed white had mental deficiencies, physical abnormalities, and was born a criminal. Because of this diss, American Indians were legally assimilated into being labeled as colored, soon to be misclassified as Negro. Isn't it a coincidence that right around the same time that Walter Plecker was implementing the Racial Integrity Act for the purpose of this change, a new movement was beginning called the New Negro Movement, also known as the Renaissance? The two words featured in Renaissance are ren, which means to tear in two or multiple pieces, and the word assance, which means skill. So, combining both of these words, Renaissance is the skill of tearing something to pieces. That brings us back to what is going on today. On the most basic level, the diss between Kendrick and Drake seems like two artists engaging in competition, as the separation between good and evil isn't always black and white.
It's up.
Sometimes, when actors are involved, it is unclear who's the villain and who's for the people. But with careful consideration, we are now able to see clearly that Drake's words and actions are a cover-up. He is still an actor playing his part on the world stage, using cultural appropriation to shift the ideals of the public audience, pretending to be one of us so that he can carry out an agenda. I'm just here to make you think.
Slow down. Yeah.